coming off a motorway is relatively straightforward. Your speed's already built, and you should, if possible, just keep things flowing and then head off into the slip road and then do your slowing down. Now, if the slip road is chocker and queuing, obviously you're going to have to do some slowing on the motorway. However, you should try and keep things flowing as much as possible. But honestly, that's not the big deal. That's not the big issue. It's joining them that's the issue. It's the thing that people struggle with most. That's what we're going to be looking at today. It's the lack of adjustment of speed that generally causes the issue. People accelerate in one manner. Now, just give you a little idea of what I'm trying to do here. I'm going to leave the car in a flexible gear, so I've got acceleration, and I've left myself acceleration space. I'm looking down through these trees already, and I'm just working out which vehicle's on its way. Tesla's in the middle lane, no one else. I could just trundle onto this one. I am going to right signal just to tell the other Volkswagen in lane 2, a little sideways glance to make sure no one's there. But yeah, I was just telling the Volkswagen I would like to come out. So there was no speed adjustment there, and that was really easy. But it's when there is a need for speed adjustment and quick speed adjustment that people generally aren't prepared.
This clip is absolutely textbook. My viewer's approaching some services on the left hand side, and typically service slip roads can be short, whether they're leading off or whether they're leading on to the major carriageway. My viewers slightly reduced the speed, so they've now got a pocket of space to the right hand side, so they can do this. Great driving, but this isn't always possible. We've got a similar situation in this clip. It's not services this time, it's just a junction, but I don't think my viewer changes their speed enough. We can see the red van that's emerging from the slip road, and the section in front is uphill. It's obvious that my viewer knows who's around because they don't lane change, but if my viewer would have slowed down more now, it may have given the van a better chance to get going, and my viewer may have been able to tuck it in behind the BMW. The van driver could have done better also, but at least they didn't pull out into the flow of the traffic. We're still potentially looking for a car to fit Callie in, and this Audi S4 could be a perfect choice. An estate car is an absolute must because of the size of Callie, so this S4 Avant would fit her in perfectly. I like the colour, and the damage doesn't actually seem that bad. The pictures even show that the airbags inside haven't even gone off. The report also shows that the mileage is below average, which is a touch. And importantly, I think this is only a Category N write-off, which means it's non-structural. To get your car checked out on Car Vertical is really easy. Put your registration or your VIN number into the website, and within a minute you'll be sent a detailed report. If we look at the timeline, one of the things that stood out in this report for me is that this vehicle has never failed an MOT, even after the damage has occurred. Remember, use the code Ashley or follow the links in the description. You can save 20% checking out your next potential purchase. Thanks, Car Vertical.
In my opinion, there's also a big problem with people's attitudes towards people joining. Yes, legally and technically people are correct to say that the people joining do have to effectively give way, but it stops people from trying to help out who are on the motorway. And this mindset is absolutely rife. I see it from all different road users as well. I don't have to. This scenario, up ahead, I know the motorway is pretty quiet at the minute, but I've already checked lane 2. I know I've got an escape route. I backed off slightly to allow the Fiat, and I'm assessing my speed. I'm going quite fast compared to them. So all I've done is I've moved out, and rather than me arriving there and slowing down, I've stopped that problem being a problem just by a lane change. Am I going to come back in? I actually am. Just get rid of me mum calling. Now, usually there, coming back in at the entrance to a junction isn't a good idea. A lot of the time you're going to have issues and problems with people joining. And if there are any people, literally don't do it. But notice what I did there. I had a good lean in my seat, checked that there was no one coming down the slip road, therefore I can start to move back to the left.
Here's an example from John on how to do it properly. Notice the speed on the approach is slow enough and John doesn't go all the way up to the give way or even starts up the slip road. John leaves himself acceleration space, and it's difficult because he's driving a van, don't forget. John doesn't wait for his space to arrive before he moves, he creeps into it. And then he uses as much acceleration as his van has got.
Continue on A1 for 3 miles.
He's even switched on enough to try and help out this Mercedes trying to emerge. Here's another good example, this time starting off on a major road. My viewer recognises that there's a vehicle waiting to emerge, and because of the low sun, it's a great idea to move to lane 2. The driver of the van emerging has ran out of space, but my viewer's lent a hand. There's one little point that I'd like to add with this clip. If I was the driver of this van, I think I would have reduced my speed a little more and allowed my viewer to come back to lane 1 a little quicker. This frees up flow for other traffic approaching behind.
So keeping space out in front of you is really, really important. You need to give yourself room to be able to accelerate. If you're too close in behind the vehicle that you're following, that's going to cause issues, and that's honestly one of the main things that people do struggle with. It may very well hack people off behind, however, you're doing it for the correct reason. So if you see someone in front of you creating a bigger space as you're trying to get onto the motorway, just create a bigger space yourself. The next thing is people honestly don't know how to, or don't feel comfortable accelerating the car quickly. It's as if they don't like the sound. You petrol heads out there, you'll love revving your cars out, but people don't understand that the longer you rev the car through the rev range, the more power that you actually get. Now, it's pretty easy in this Ford Focus. We've got 280 PS, 420 newton meters of torque, I think. So this can get going from low revs. But if you've got a car with less power, you need to squeeze your foot further and further, perhaps even down to the floor in maybe 3rd or 4th gear. Be careful of doing that in 1st and 2nd in any car. But squeezing your foot down to the floor smoothly and keeping it there for longer to rev your engine out creates more power and therefore more acceleration. And that's the big problem with slip roads like this one we're coming up to. It's really short. Now, I'm just going to try and have a little talk through what I'm doing. We've got a vehicle behind. I'm going to choose a powerful gear, and I'm going to give myself space from the end of the road, so I've got acceleration room. Notice I'm slowing here, so I'm giving myself as long a time as I can. I'm just delaying for the red one, and now I'm heavy and full acceleration. It's okay in this car, no problems. That was really, really easy. However, not every person is going to have 280 horsepower to go, wallop, off we go. What about people who drive buses, lorries, or vans, or even cars with smaller engine? They're not going to have that ability and that acceleration.
And here's a great example of this. This clip also shows target fixation, which I'm going to go on to in a moment. My viewer's doing 55 miles an hour, and watch how their speed reduces trying to help. But this vehicle still doesn't go. You should be doing your best to try and emerge at the same speed as the traffic on the carriageway. This driver in front also doesn't do a good job, but I think the lorry could have spotted this earlier and backed off and made it a non-event. Target fixation was also strong in this clip.
When you're using acceleration heavily though, still do it smoothly. If you do give it the full beans, you're even likely to spin up the wheels in a lower powered car, especially in bad weather. So make sure that you're always doing it smoothly, but try and learn, practice accelerating quickly. So we've talked about the difficulties and certain little skills that you can put into place to help you. What about helping others? And this one's an absolute classic for it, this junction that I'm coming to here. It's quite short, it's busy, look at the traffic around, haven't got an escape route. If a car appears, I'm going to be ready to adjust my speed. The Audi did a pretty good job. There was one in front there, but I'm ready to slow down to allow that vehicle room. The earlier you can do that as well, the further back that you can spot that, deal with that, the better, because it gives that person enough time to actually come out. There's another problem that I'm going to just quickly talk about as well, and it's the ability of these people who are emerging to actually look at the space as opposed to staring and fixating at the car. There are loads of people out there who, when they are emerging, because it's a nerve-wracking thing for them to do, because they haven't got these skills and they don't put these things into place that I've talked about, they'll target fixate. And they'll target fixate, and that stops them actually acting with their vehicle. They won't do anything. You'll be holding back. You will not be catching them, yet they won't put the foot down and get going. So it's a big problem. There's not just one easy, quick solution. There's many different parts and sections to it, but hopefully there's something within this video that you've just picked up and learned that you think, you know what, I don't do that well enough, and change things. Remember, that's what this channel is all about. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Keep safe, everyone, and I'll see you all soon.